It is such a beautiful morning.
Yeah, perfect for the harvest.
They arrived at the farm as though the land itself had summoned them. Two young souls carrying their hopes in bushel baskets and borrowed dreams. Andrew stepped from the truck first, tall and earnest, his eyes sweeping the fields with the reverence of someone recognizing a place he had only ever seen in sleep. The morning light caught in the soft edges of his expression, as if the land had whispered a welcome only he could hear. Becca followed, sunlight catching in her hair, her smile soft and impossibly certain, as though she already belonged to the soil beneath her feet. She paused at the edge of the garden, breathing in the scent of earth and old roots, and something in her posture softened, a quiet recognition, a settling of the spirit. It was as if the land remembered her, even if she had never stood upon it before. The air around them felt strangely attentive, as if the orchard leaned closer to listen. The trees stood in their long, patient rows, branches still bare from winter, but holding the promise of green. Becca walked the garden rows with a quiet awe, touching the earth like one might touch the cheek of a long-lost friend. Andrew stood beside the fence line, imagining repairs, imagining children, imagining a life that stretched out in warm, golden years. For a moment, a perfect, fragile moment, the farm seemed to breathe with them, and the land welcomed them home. Their days unfolded with the gentle rhythm of a life newly begun. Morning light spilled across the kitchen table, catching in the steam of their coffee. Becca moved through the garden with her baskets swinging at her side, humming melodies that drifted through the orchard like threads of light. She spoke to the herbs as she tended them, her voice soft, her hands sure, as though she had always known how to coax life from the soil. Andrew worked the fences and the woodpile, glancing toward her more often than he meant to, as though afraid she might vanish if he looked away too long. He found himself pausing mid-task, listening for her humming, letting it anchor him in a way he had never expected. In the evenings, they sat on the porch steps, their shoulders touching, their voices low and full of promise. They spoke of children, many children, of laughter echoing between the trees, of holidays in the barn, of growing old in the house that already felt like a cradle for their future. The farm wrapped itself around their dreams, holding them gently, as if it too believed in the life they imagined. The orchard seemed to soften in their presence, its branches swaying with a tenderness that felt almost like approval. And for a while, everything felt eternal. But eternity is a fragile thing. The first shadows came quietly, men drifting along the road with the weary, dangerous aimlessness of those who have lost more than work. Layoffs from the mill, camps in the woods, stories whispered in town of tempers flaring, of hunger sharpening the edges of men who once had purpose. They passed by the farm in twos and threes, their eyes hollow, their steps slow, as though the world had taken more from them than they could bear. Andrew noticed them. He watched from the porch, from the fence line, from the corner of his eye as he worked. A tension settled into his shoulders, a quiet unease he tried to hide. Becca, ever tender, ever trusting, brushed the worry from his brow with a laugh. "They're just passing through," she said. "No one wants trouble out here." Yet the orchard felt different. The trees stood too still, the air held its breath. Even the birds seemed quiet, as though listening for something they could not name. Andrew checked the locks twice, and the land, ancient and remembering, grew watchful. Days passed, then weeks. The men came and went, leaving only footprints in the dust and a heaviness in the air. But the farm felt changed, as if it sensed the shape of something approaching, something it could not stop. It happened on a warm afternoon, the kind that makes the world shimmer with a deceptive gentleness. Becca was in the garden, her baskets half filled, her dress brushing the tops of the herbs she loved. The sun warmed her shoulders, and she paused to breathe in the scent of rosemary and mint, letting the peace of the moment settle around her like a shawl. She didn't hear the men approach, didn't see the shadows lengthen behind her. The baskets fell first, a soft thud against the soil. Then the orchard stiffened, its branches trembling with a sound that was almost a warning. The air changed, turning sharp, metallic, wrong. The land seemed to recoil, as though trying to pull her into its roots, to hide her, to protect her. No scream carried across the field. The trees swallowed it, as if trying to spare the land the full weight of what was happening. When Andrew found the overturned baskets, the disturbed earth, the silence that felt like a wound, the world shifted beneath him. The farm felt hollow. The air tasted wrong, and something precious had been torn from the land. He searched until his voice broke. He ran until his legs failed. He called her name until the orchard itself seemed to echo it back in mourning. But the truth settled over him like winter frost, cold, merciless, irreversible. Rebecca was gone, and the land, which had welcomed her so tenderly, now held her absence like a bruise. Andrew fell to his knees in the garden she loved, his hands trembling in the soil she had tended with such care. The rosemary bent toward him as though trying to offer comfort. The mint leaves shivered in a wind that did not touch the trees. Even the well seemed to hum with a low, sorrowful note. The farm grieved with him. Before Rebecca was a ghost wandering the garden, searching for the love she lost. She was a young woman with hopes and dreams of raising a family. And Hollow Farm remembers her.